She thought she was so clever naming her affair partner, Emily from HR. So I called Emily from HR, who was 52, married, and not amused. 10 days later, her office had a new vacancy. So did my apartment. I, 34 male, live in Dallas, Texas. I work in tech support for a large telecom company. Pretty chill job, decent pay. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment not far from downtown. Nothing fancy, but it's home. I was in a relationship with a woman named Vanessa, 32 female. We'd been together for almost 6 years. Lived together for 4. We weren't married, but we shared bills, cars, furniture, the whole nine. Vanessa works for a mid-sized insurance company, mostly remote, but she goes into the office twice a week. She's in some kind of compliance role. She used to talk about work a lot, who got promoted, who got in trouble, all that. Over time, she stopped sharing much. Said work was boring, or just the same stuff. I didn't think anything of it. Looking back, I realized that's when the shift started. She became distant. Our routine changed. We used to make dinner together, watch shows, do puzzles. Little things. Then she started staying late at work. Said they were doing team-building nights. I noticed she'd dress a little nicer those days. Heels when she usually wore sneakers. Lipstick she hadn't used in a year. Still, I didn't want to be the paranoid boyfriend. I trusted her. Or maybe I just didn't want to face what I was feeling. Then came the phone call that changed everything. One night, she left her phone on the kitchen counter while she showered. It lit up with a text. I glanced. It said, "Same time Thursday, winky face, Emily from HR." My stomach dropped. Now, I don't make a habit of snooping, but this hit weird. Vanessa never mentioned an Emily before. And why would Emily from HR be texting her like that? I sat there for 10 minutes, staring at the screen. She came out of the shower, grabbed her phone without a word, and didn't mention the message. That alone was enough to raise every red flag in the book. Over the next few days, I started paying attention. She'd smile at her phone and hide it when I walked by. She'd go outside to take calls from her boss. She started locking her screen with a new passcode. So I got curious. Not proud of it, but I went through our shared laptop, the one we both use for Netflix and finances. She'd logged into her work email once before on there, and her browser saved the login. And there it was. An email thread. A chain of messages between her and someone named Emily from HR at yahoo.com. Not her real work email. This wasn't a coworker. It was a fake name. The emails weren't just messages. They were full-blown love letters. Plans for hotel stays. Jokes about me being clueless. Pictures. One of them said, "I can't believe he actually thinks Emily from HR is a real person." LMAO. My hands were shaking. That was it. That was the moment. But I didn't blow up. Not right away. I needed to be sure. I needed a plan. So I did something petty. Something precise. I called her actual HR department. I asked for Emily. There was only one Emily in the company. Emily was 52 years old, married, and not amused by what I told her. When I explained the email address and what Vanessa had been saying, Emily was, let's just say, professionally concerned. She took down details, said she'd look into it, and thanked me. 10 days later, Vanessa got called into the office. She didn't come home smiling. She said she got let go because of a misunderstanding. I asked what the misunderstanding was. She said it was some compliance thing she wasn't allowed to talk about. Her story kept changing. First, it was a downsizing. Then, it was a misfiled report. Then, she said they were threatened by her work ethic. I said nothing. I acted supportive, but I was done pretending. That night, I packed a bag and stayed with my brother. She blew up my phone, called me heartless, said I was abandoning her when she needed me the most. So I sent her screenshots, the emails, the photos, everything. She didn't respond for 2 full days. When she finally did, all she said was, "You weren't supposed to find out like this." Like that made it better. No apology. No regret. Just frustration that she got caught. I told her she had 3 days to get her things and leave the apartment. The next time I saw her, she was crying. Not the kind of crying that says, "I'm sorry." More like, "I can't believe this is happening to me." She begged me not to tell anyone. Said it would ruin her life. I told her she should have thought about that before she lied, cheated, and humiliated me. She left. I haven't seen her since. But here's where it gets interesting. A week after she moved out, a friend of hers, someone I barely knew, DM'd me on Instagram. She said, "Hey, I thought you should know." She wasn't just seeing one guy. There were 2. Maybe more. I asked if she was sure. She said Vanessa used to brag about how good she was at hiding things. Said she used fake names and even used work trips to meet guys out of town. She'd been doing this for years. I was stunned. All those nights I waited up, worrying about her. All those weekends she went to see her sister in Austin. It was all a lie. That's where I'll leave it for now. There's more, but I need a break. This whole thing has left me numb, but also kind of clear, like a fog lifted. I'm not writing this for sympathy. I just needed to get it off my chest. If you're with someone and things start to feel off, trust your gut. Don't gaslight yourself into staying quiet. More to come soon if you'll want the rest. So, after Vanessa moved out, I thought that was it. Thought I could start over, breathe again, maybe even laugh again. But if I've learned anything, it's that cheaters don't stop at just one mess. They leave a trail behind them. About 2 weeks after she left, I started getting calls from unknown numbers. Random area codes, some from out of state. I don't pick up numbers I don't know, so I let them go to voicemail. One message stood out. A guy's voice, nervous, said something like, "Hey man, I think we've both been with the same girl. Her name's Vanessa. She said she was single. I just found out she was living with someone. If this is the right number, call me back." My heart sank. I called him. We'll call him Ryan. Ryan was 29, lived up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They met on a work trip over a year ago, one of those conferences Vanessa used to go to. She told him she was single, no kids, no boyfriend, just focusing on her career. They kept in touch, saw each other once a month, sometimes more. He even came to Dallas once, but she stayed in a hotel to keep things professional. Unreal. When I told him the truth, he went silent, then said, "Dude, I think I just helped pay for part of your rent." She told him her startup job didn't pay much. He'd been Venmo her hundreds a month to help out. I couldn't even get mad. I was just tired. Sick. She played us both. Hard. Ryan and I stayed in touch after that. Kind of trauma bonded. We even joked about starting a support group. Turns out, there might be more of us. One night, Ryan texted me, "Bro, check this." He sent a screenshot. A Facebook comment thread on a mutual friend's post. A woman named Alyssa wrote, "Vanessa? OMG, is that the same girl who ghosted my cousin after dating him for like a year?" A year. This woman's cousin lived in San Antonio. That's 3 men across 3 cities, all within a 5-hour radius. All at the same time. But here's where the twist really comes in. Remember how I told you Vanessa was let go from her job? Well, apparently she wasn't just fired. She was reported. Emily from HR, the real Emily, wasn't messing around. She didn't just make a note in her file. She launched an internal investigation. Vanessa had been using company resources, email, travel expenses, even hotel points, for her little side life. She listed Ryan as a contractor, expensed a weekend stay in Tulsa as training. She committed fraud. I got a letter from the company's legal team. They asked if I'd be willing to confirm a few things, dates, locations, whether she was living with me during certain periods. Turns out they were building a case. No, I don't hate Vanessa. I really don't. I hate what she did. But she was spiraling, and I had no idea how deep it went. But then, she came back. Not like, emotionally. Physically. I came home one Friday night, and she was sitting on the stairs outside the apartment, crying. Said she had nowhere to go. Said her parents wouldn't take her in because they always knew she was trouble. That her bank account was frozen, and she didn't know what to do. I didn't let her in. But I also didn't leave her sitting there. I told her she could come in for 5 minutes. Just to talk. Big mistake. She broke down, full sobbing, grabbing my hand, asking me why I was doing this to her. Saying she made a mistake, that everyone makes mistakes, that she just needed help. I asked her straight up, how many were there? She looked down, wouldn't answer. I asked again. She whispered, more than I can count. I stood up, told her I couldn't do this, that she needed help, but I wasn't going to be her punching bag anymore. She lost it, started yelling, threw a coaster across the room, said I was heartless, that I was the one who ruined her life. That's when I told her, no, Vanessa, you did that all by yourself. She stormed out. Next day, I changed the locks. But that wasn't the end. Not even close. Because 2 days later, I got served a notice of small claims court. Vanessa was suing me for unlawful eviction and withholding personal property. Yeah. After cheating, lying, and burning everything to the ground, she decided she was the victim. I'll save the court details for the next update, but just know, it got ugly. And it's far from over. So, small claims court. I showed up in a decent shirt, brought printouts of the emails, messages, and proof she moved out on her own. My brother came with me for support. Vanessa showed up in all black, like she was going to a funeral, and gave me this half smile like we were in on some joke together. The hearing itself? Quick. The judge listened to both sides. She claimed I kicked her out without notice and kept her essential belongings. I said she left willingly, that I gave her 3 days to pack, and that she took everything she asked for. Then I dropped the bomb. I showed the judge the screenshot of her email saying, "Can't believe he actually thinks Emily from HR is a real person." The judge raised an eyebrow. Then I showed the work investigation letter and emails about her fraud investigation. Said she wasn't fired for no reason. She was using company money for affairs and had been lying to people across the state. I could tell the judge had seen messy breakups before. But this one, it left her blinking. Verdict? Case dismissed. Judge said Vanessa had no legal claim and warned her that if she filed again without evidence, it could be considered harassment. But guess what? That should have been the final twist. But no. 3 days later, Ryan, the guy from Tulsa, calls me again. This time he's not calm. His voice is shaking. "Dude, I think she's pregnant." I froze. My stomach turned. I asked him if it was real or just another one of her games. He said she sent him a pic of a positive test. He asked her to take another one on video. She refused. She told him she was keeping it and that she didn't care what he wanted. Claimed it was his responsibility now. But here's the kicker. Ryan had a vasectomy 2 years ago. Verified and all. No chance it's his. So who's the father? Could be anyone. Me, maybe. One of the others. Someone new. I hadn't been with her in over a month when she sent the test, and we hadn't slept together for a while before that. Still, I couldn't be 100% sure. So I did the dumbest thing I could have done at that point. I called her. Told her I heard what she said to Ryan. Asked if it was true. Her answer? Would it make you stay if it was? I hung up. That sentence told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't about a baby. This was a control move. She was spiraling, losing the pieces she had left and trying to trap someone, anyone, into sticking around. But I wasn't done digging. I contacted Alyssa, the girl on Facebook who mentioned her cousin. Her cousin, Dave, turned out to be another one of Vanessa's exes. They dated for nearly a year. He said Vanessa drained his savings. Told him she had student loans she couldn't pay, begged for help. He gave her $9,000 over time. She ghosted him after that. No text, no call, just vanished. Turns out, Vanessa had a pattern. Each guy, a different story. With me, she was the struggling compliance officer who just wanted stability. With Ryan, she was the ambitious single woman who needed help growing a business. With Dave, she was a broke college grad trying to pay off loans and get back on her feet. But it all led to the same place: deception, money, manipulation, and lies. Still think I'm done? Nope. Last week, I got a call from Emily, the real Emily from HR. We hadn't spoken since the investigation. She said Vanessa's case went beyond just internal discipline. They were pressing charges for fraud and misuse of corporate funds. Hotel stays, flights, even fake contractor invoices. It's now a criminal case. They needed my statement officially. I gave it. Sent them everything I had. And here's where the twist of all twists hit me. Emily said, "You're not the only one giving a statement." She did this at her last job too. Same playbook. Her previous employer had similar complaints but didn't pursue it legally at the time. This woman's entire adult life might have been built on lies, cheating, and financial scams. And now? The walls are closing in. I have no idea if the pregnancy thing is real or if there's even a baby. If there is, I'll do the right thing, but only after a DNA test and legal clarity. She hasn't messaged me in over a week now, but I know this story isn't over. It's just getting darker. So here's where everything came to a head. The criminal case was in motion. Emily told me the company had filed official charges for fraud and falsification of documents. She said the investigation uncovered close to $30,000 in misused funds. Vanessa's fake emails, the bogus hotel receipts, everything was compiled, and she was being subpoenaed. That's when she called me again, crying. This time, not manipulative or dramatic, just hollow. She said, "They're going to take everything from me." I didn't think it would go this far. I didn't know what to say. I had nothing left to give her. No words. No comfort. But I made one last mistake. I agreed to meet her in person. We met at a public park in Dallas. Neutral ground. Broad daylight. I wasn't stupid. I texted Ryan and my brother my location before I went. She showed up looking exhausted. Not put together like usual. Hair in a messy bun. No makeup. Hoodie and jeans. I almost didn't recognize her. We sat on opposite benches. I didn't speak first. She started rambling. Said everything got out of hand. That she never meant to hurt me. That she thought she could keep all our lives separate and never have them collide. That she used to love me, truly, and that part of her still did. Then she said something that froze me. The baby is real. I asked her if she was sure. She nodded. Said she'd gone to the doctor. Estimated around 9 weeks. She didn't know who the father was. She hadn't told anyone else yet. I asked why she told me. She said, because you're the only one who ever really knew me. That sentence hit me like a truck. Not because it was true, but because I finally saw how deep the delusion ran. She built her world on lies so tightly wound that even she believed them. She wasn't confessing for my sake. She was trying to pull me back in. I stood up. I said, you don't get to make me your anchor now. You lost that, right? She started crying again. Said she didn't know what to do. That she didn't want to be alone. That everyone had turned against her. I said, you built this house of fire, Vanessa. You lit every match. Then I walked away. But I wasn't the only one who saw it. Because sitting a few benches away was a woman walking her dog. Middle-aged. Glasses. She got up and approached me as I left. Said, that girl, she lies to you a lot, doesn't she? I blinked, caught off guard. She said, I've seen her here before. With different men. Same bench. Same tears. Same act. I just nodded. Didn't even have it in me to be surprised. Later that week, Ryan messaged me. Said Vanessa had reached out to him too, claiming he might be the father. Even sent him a photo of the ultrasound. Same one she sent me. He wasn't buying it anymore. Neither was I. That week was full of fallout. She was served legal documents in person. Her name was removed from her apartment lease in a new building she had just moved into. Her credit was torched. Her family found out about the fraud charges. Her old friends started cutting her off. A few messaged me privately, apologizing for not believing me when I told them the truth. And then came the news from Emily again. The company wasn't just filing charges. They were pressing civil and criminal penalties. Vanessa would have to pay restitution, and she might do time. A couple months, maybe more. It was the collapse of a house of cards. But the real ending? That came quietly. I was in line at a coffee shop 2 weeks later, and a guy tapped me on the shoulder. Said, you don't know me, but I think we dated the same girl. Vanessa. I looked at him. Mid-30s. Seemed normal. I just said, yeah, probably. He nodded. Said, she told me her boyfriend died in a car crash 2 years ago. I let out a bitter laugh. Said, nope. Still here. We shook hands, and he walked away. And that was it. No big explosion. No courtroom drama. No grand closure moment. Just silence. It's been a couple months since then. The baby? I don't know. I haven't heard anything. She stopped contacting me. Last I heard, she moved in with an aunt somewhere near Houston. Do I still think about her? Yeah. Sometimes. Not because I miss her, because I still don't understand why. I probably never will. What hurts most isn't the betrayal. It's that I spent 6 years building a life with someone who was living 5 others. I lost time, trust, confidence, but I also gained something. Clarity. I've reconnected with friends I pushed away. I've started therapy. I got a dog. Simple stuff. But it's helping. I don't hate her. Not anymore. That would mean I still cared. What I feel now is just space. Empty, but peaceful. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Sometimes the people who smile the most are hiding the biggest lies. And sometimes, walking away is the only truth you've got left.